Good day, America. Stand by for news. I'm Jack Harvey.
That's Jack Harvey.
Actually, I'm Jack Rickard, and this is
who he
Electric
is.
Vehicle Television. And the guy who makes me show up and you think works for me, which is hilarious, is Mr. Brian Almoto.
Hey, good to see you.
Boss and mentor.
There you go. All right. Things are looking up. How you doing, man?
Oh, I'm old and fat. I've been going to the doctor. They've been looking at inside of me, and they're finding stuff.
Are they?
Not as all well under the hood. So
Okay, well.
maybe that explains why I'm getting old and fat. I thought I was past my sell-by date. Maybe I'm broken.
Maybe might still have some more time, still some more shelf life.
Might have a few more miles.
That's right.
With a tune-up.
That's right. Get a little.
What do you know about electric cars that our viewers would be interested to learn?
Well, we have the.
Or you can just entertain me, and that'll be good.
Yeah, that'll be fine. It's just we'll just talk about stuff that we like to talk about. We did have the Detroit Auto Show this week, which is kind of a big deal.
Where'd they hold that this year?
They always hold it in this place in California. I don't know why they call it the Detroit Auto Show.
The Detroit Auto Show. Isn't Detroit broke?
Well, I guess people had to bring their money, maybe and leave some. I guess of tourism, huh?
Okay.
But they had some interesting stuff, and of course, people love electric cars and hybrid cars, and I don't even know what kind of cars, fusion cars, and.
Did Tesla show anything?
Tesla talked. Their vice president, Guillaume he did a fairly lengthy speech. Talked about all the fun things they're doing. Didn't talk about the Model X very much, except they were working very hard on it. What they did in the quarter four, 60-some hundred Model S's, I think they said.
Been a good week for Tesla. They had been sagging down to $136 a share,
Yes.
Maybe even a little lower. And they announced that they produced and sold and delivered 6,900.
Oh, 6,900. Nice.
Model S's in the quarter. And that's a big deal to me, and I think it was to some other people too.
I think so, yeah.
The curve that I have seen with the introduction of the electric cars thus far, the Volt and the Leaf and the Mitsubishi i-MiEV,
Yes.
and then we know the Coda, is you have some, I call it low-hanging fruit, mostly our viewers.
Yeah, you guys are pretty easy
Who
when
would
it comes
buy
to
an
electric
electric
cars.
monkey if you would show what part of his posterior the plug went into?
That's right.
And it's latent demand.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, I want a BMW i3 or I want a Leaf or something before they're even available. Then they fill the demand, and then there isn't any more demand.
It's gone, yeah.
And so it goes from 1,700 units a month down to 300 and so forth. And most of them have done that. A vehicle, and the press continues to grant Elon a pass on this, that it's a $65,000
Oh, I know. But every time I see that number.
There have never been a $65,000 Tesla Model S. Mine was 107. I think they averaged 90.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And below 80, there's nothing to be had. And so it's a very pricey car. I think it's a very good one. And there was a lot of latent demand built up by years of talking about it.
I think so, yeah.
And so they got that bump. Now, will it trail off or will it build? And those are two different dynamics, and either can be true.
Sure.
You can run through the low-hanging fruit, and now it's a hard sell.
Right.
Or, if the right type of people are among the latent demand and adopt it, that are influencers and early adopters that hold sway, then it can kind of get to be a cultural icon.
Sure, right.
Or, as I call it, required dress.
Yes, right.
At this point in Silicon Valley, if you are posing as a player in tech space and you're not driving a Model S, you're exposed as a fraud.
That's right.
I mean, it's required dress.
Yeah, no, it is. You
And
gotta
that
have
could
it.
start to spread to the medical community, the legal community, real estate people probably. I would say real estate people would be the next.
Sure.
Your top sellers in real estate pretty soon.
You've got to have any big
claim
brokers.
without
Yeah.
a Model S.
Yeah.
And the same with financial managers who would let somebody manage their money that doesn't own a Model
Doesn't own a
S.
Tesla, yeah.
And so I think that's picking up. And of course, they're introducing in Europe and China.
Yes, yes.
I deal with China every day, and it can be utterly exasperating and also quite energizing. They have a little different thing, and it's mainly where I really don't like talking to American vendors on the phone, and I really don't like dealing with them. I'd much rather the Chinese, who are either too tricky by half or just too eager to please.
That's right.
And millions of little girls on Alibaba trying to... by the way, Violet, who was in one of my wife's classes and used to come to Sunday dinner all the time at our house,
Okay.
went back to China. I thought she was going to have a baby and go to work for a textile company. Guess who she works for?
Who?
Alibaba.
Oh, really? For Alibaba.
Again, training Chinese companies how to sell to America.
Okay, okay.
And so I buy a lot of stuff from China. A lot's going on there. Apple is my other stock play of this year.
Yeah.
I know that seems like the wind's gone out of it and Steve Jobs is gone. They've done a deal with the cellular telephone companies in China, basically the Chinese government,
the government,
to sell iPhones over there. The analysts are just like completely lost, dazed, and confused.
Yeah.
Will any of the Chinese be able to afford them? You're not living in huts eating dogs anymore, guys. There's a burgeoning middle class over there, and there's some people that are doing very well in China.
Oh, absolutely.
And a lot of them. And they're going to be buying a lot of Model S's, not a few of them. And they're going to be buying a whole lot of Apple iPhones. It's like, I think that one company has 700 million subscribers to their cell phone.
That's crazy. Yeah.
It'll wipe out everything Apple's ever sold. And I think the Model S will be well received too. The main problem electric cars have in China is where do you park it?
Yeah, that's true.
It'll only be people, and there are people over there in American-style homes.
Sure.
I mean, pretty nice things.
I bet, yeah.
But it's true that most of the society lives in high-rise apartments, and they have no garages.
You don't have a garage, yeah.
So the place has got 20 million electric bicycles. It's not that the advantages of electric drive are lost on these people. They're all over it.
Yeah, Beijing smog, yeah.
But you take the bicycle up the elevator with you to the apartment and plug it in the kitchen.
Plug it in, that's right.
That's tough with a Model S. And so Elon got creamed, hoisted it on his own petard. I think he got too tricky by half. The fire was not their fault.
No, the one in Orange County.
It was their car plugged in, and so I thought they did a very astute thing. And that you can measure, as I described last week, the voltage and the current detect high resistance connections in your heavy wiring.
Yes.
And he released a software update that you don't have to go in for or get flashed. It just happens over GSM. A marvelous feature of the Model S. We get software updates in our dreams. They just come to us.
They just come to us.
The guy then, and I said last week this is stupid, and it's stupider this week as it turns out. Now he's going to replace all the wall chargers. I get nothing with the new wall charger. He's going to put a little thermocouple in it to disable it if it detects temperature.
Like a little fuse or something, yeah. Yeah.
A thermofuse.
Yeah, jeez.
What's that? I mean, give me a break. It doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't do anything for the car.
No.
If you have it properly wired, it doesn't do anything at all.
No, it never will.
And we can detect if it's not properly wired in software. So what is it? He wanted to stomp this one through the floor. Now the media picked up and said that it was a Tesla recall.
Right, right.
Nothing in his mind is being recalled. I'm not sending my car in. I'm not taking it in. It's the EVSE that hangs on the wall, and he can't have that back either. I'm not even going to install the upgrade. If he wants to send me 3, we'll have 3 more.
That's right.
Maybe we'll install them somewhere.
If something goes wrong.
As long as they're already in, we're not replacing them. We're not rewiring them, and they're fine. So it's not a recall of the EVSE. But
No.
So the media asked the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration if it was technically a recall.
Recall, yeah.
Now, they're all butthurt at Tesla because of them advertising their safety rating inappropriately or something. So they said, yep, it's a recall.
Yeah.
Officially, it's a recall. Nothing was really recalled, but it's a recall.
It's a recall. Elon tweeted a lot about the recall, too. He should have left his iPhone in his pocket for a little while.
Sometimes less is more, Elon. What do you else know?
Well, I did read something.
Their stock went to $170 this week.
$170, yeah.
I'm back in on calls for June and March. I got creamed in December.
Yep.
They took my head. I thought we'd have a strong end of the year, and we have.
Yes.
And it's showing up now.
Now, yeah. At the beginning of the...
After I lost $100,000 on expiring options. But I'm back in them because I think it's got a lot of life left.
Well,
I don't think if they bring in that Model X before the end of the year, while they're really already on a pace, they almost can't not sell 30,000 Model S's this year.
Right.
If they start selling Model X's at the same time, you're looking at 50,000 cars for 2016. What's the question?
No, and they're aimed at, isn't their margin? They want to have a Porsche-like margin. And they've already outsold Mercedes S-Class, the BMW, the big BMW. I mean, they did a pretty good job.
Porsche's in the 15% margin level. Elon's talking about 20.
Yeah.
And I guess I would concede that reality might erode that to a Porsche-like margin of 15%.
That would be not bad.
Good money if you can get it.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. And I was reading a little bit about, actually I did read a couple things. One thing about the driving test in China. Apparently it's pretty tough. And
really?
Yeah, and it's because it's a lot of rote memorization. I was reading about Americans have been trying to take the driving test in China and just can't pass it. And you have to get a 90% on 100 questions.
90%?
90% on 100 questions.
Whoa, that is
pretty
tough.
So it's pretty tough. But I was reading a little bit about Norway, and we talk about Norway, and that's one of the places that Tesla's done phenomenally well. But, they get their... they're the 4th richest country in the world behind Qatar, Luxembourg, and Singapore. And they have lots of oil money, and that's one of the reasons. But the reason, part of the reason that they're buying Teslas, they get the VAT tax. They don't have to do the VAT tax.
How much is that?
20%. They get to drive in the carpool lane, and some serious carpool lanes, including the bus and taxi lanes, in some fairly serious traffic. They have something else that they get to. Oh, they get parking, preferred parking spaces in the cities. And the price of a gallon of gas in Norway is about the equivalent of $10 a gallon.
$10 a gallon. And they produce a lot of gas. That's the Brent North Sea.
The North Sea crude,
That's a benchmark. Light sweet.
Yeah, light sweet crude. And what they don't do, I guess, is subsidize their own their own citizens with a cheap oil. But also, and kind of in the Missouri rates, we're kind of just a little more expensive than Norway. It's about 5.5 cents a kilowatt hour for electricity there. So really expensive gas and really cheap electricity is just Beautiful.
We're kind of strange. In fact, they won't even really tell me what a rate is anymore. They've got to be so neurotic about this because see, they couldn't get a rate increase for years because of a nuclear power deal, and then that was released, and now they want 100% rate increase every year.
Oh,
they just come out and request goofy stuff, but they always get something. I think we're about 8.5 cents in the summer.
Yeah,
but we use a lot of air conditioning here, so in the winter they drop it to like 6.5 cents.
That's what I think too, but I'm not sure. Yeah,
but it might be 7 and 9.
Yeah, right.
Because they've gotten rate increases, and the media here and everything just kind of goes along with this, and they got this rate increase, and then they don't tell you what the rate is.
They just talk about the weather then.
Right. So, but yes, not only do they have very inexpensive electricity in Norway, but it's probably the highest percentage of
hydroelectric
of anybody.
Maybe anybody except Iceland or something.
Iceland, maybe with their geothermal or something, might be analogous, but it's like largely hydroelectric.
Yeah,
which is
falling water.
Oh man, it's day and night continuously.
I know, you gotta love that.
This water is heavy.
Yeah,
falling water is the greatest power source in the world.
You gotta love that. And a little bit with the Nordic thing is, and it's actually the BMW i3. Apparently, Bridgestone has worked with them to develop a Ologic technology tire. Now, what the Ologic technology tire is a very big O tire with a skinny tread. And they have done that for the BMW i3. It looks like they're going to come on the i3s. But more importantly, what you and I were talking about, and you pointed out, they have 4 sizes it looks like they're going to have available for the rest of us.
What are they calling this? The Ecopia 500?
The Ecopia, the EP500.
The Ecopia EP500 Ologic.
Ologic, yeah. Ologic, like O tire, yeah. And they've, I think they're going to have a couple of Nordic tread patterns too for people up there, where I guess they anticipate selling a lot of BMW i3s.
It's very interesting to watch the documentaries and read the books about electric and steam and gasoline vehicles at the turn of the last century. And we all know how that came out. And well, now that we're revisiting the power plant, we get to revisit every part of it.
Right, we do.
And for example, the BMW is revisiting what we make the cars out of. They like carbon fiber.
Yes.
And Elon and Tesla like aluminum.
Yes.
Both of those are far too expensive to make American cars out of.
Right, to make mass market cars, yeah.
In an age of $2 gasoline, or better yet, 18 cents a gallon gasoline, steel does just fine.
Sure.
Now, when you put a different energy source, then those economic decisions, and they are economic decisions,
right,
have to be reweighed. Everyone understands that aluminum doesn't rust like steel, lasts longer, it's lighter weight.
Yes.
But can you afford that? Well, the Ford F-150 is getting, and I've been talking about this for 2 years. Well, now they're announcing more and more of this.
Yeah.
It's 700-800 pounds lighter with an aluminum body. I think the bed is still steel, but the body of the truck is going to be aluminum.
That's significant.
And they're cutting 750 pounds off that and getting that big truck, which, by the way, has been the largest selling passenger vehicle in the world for like 32 consecutive seasons.
Yeah.
To lighten that 700 or 800 pounds, get it up to 23 miles per gallon, is phenomenal. And why do I feel that way? Electric cars, we tend to go for the little cars. It's easy for me to make a Speedster electric, harder to make an Escalade. The Escalade gets 8 miles or 7 miles a gallon in town.
Yes.
It's a lot of gallons I'm replacing.
Yes, yes.
And similarly, when you go from 18 to 23 miles per gallon in a Ford F-150, the number of gallons of gasoline that is the equivalent of going from like 33 or 34 in an economy car to 50.
Right, because you have such a heavy car using so much gas. Yeah, yeah.
Ultimately, you're talking gallons of gasoline,
right,
and you've saved a lot more
right,
going from 18 to 23 than you did from 33 to 50.
Sure.
And so it's a funny game. But again, we get to revisit a lot of this. Here's these tires. I've got 2 or 3 MGTCs down at the airport. That's what they have.
Yeah, little skinny tires.
Wheels with very narrow and very large.
Yeah, very tall tires, yeah.
27, 28-inch tires that were 4 inches wide, kind of pumped up, and those cars roll very freely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they do.
And combined with a light chassis, that's why they were economical in the 1930s. And so we're revisiting some of these things. Yes, a clean sheet of paper. Yeah, we shouldn't be doing all these little pudgy wheels. We ought to have 4 or 5 foot tall wheels with bicycle tires.
That's right, just going along.
Is what you're talking about here. But you do want some road adhesion. So
yes.
The modern challenge is to grip in the rain and the snow.
Yeah.
And didn't they have a couple winter models?
Yeah, they did. That's
studless or something?
They are. They are doing a multi-cell compound for Nordic conditions.
We use some Bridgestone and Copias. I have to tell you, I like the Michelin Energy Saver slightly better. But over and over, we can't get the Michelin Energy Saver.
I know.
And we wind up, we can get the Bridgestone and Copia.
Yeah, and it looks like they'll be.
And it's a pretty close. I mean, statistically, it's pretty close.
I
think the Michelin's wear better.
Oh, okay, okay.
I don't think they're really better or lower rolling resistance.
Yeah, I think didn't we test them? They were almost the same.
They were about the same,
yeah.
but they last longer. Okay. I think.
Okay.
And so, but again, it's on the margin. But this is something, when you're building your electric car, don't overlook tires and wheels. We often go up in diameter, which kind of lowers your gearing, and we tend to go to narrower tires, which doesn't fit the masculine look of the
the kind of big
Cobra.
Yeah, exactly, the Cobra.
But
slicks.
We demonstrated during the Cobra build a dramatic difference just in tire width and makeup. It can make a big difference. We run 44 pounds most of the time, which is within what the tires can do easily, but a little beyond the spec on it.
Right, right, yeah.
And but that really makes the rolling resistance, and so our mileage do better. Bravo, Bridgestone.
Bridgestone, yes, Bridgestone. And we just had a little thing about the fuel economy for last year for the season, and that's what October, September to through the end of August. 24.8 miles a gallon, so it's up.
Oh, is that for the entire year?
That's for the entire year, so that's up 1 mile per gallon from 2012, but is up about 20% from 2007 when we were looking at about 20 miles a gallon.
Yeah, this was 20 years ago from 20 to 21 miles per gallon. And what they're talking about here is the fleet average of the new cars sold during the year. This doesn't have anything to do with existing install base. It's just the new cars sold, but if you averaged all of them, what's the average fuel economy? And that's the last 2 years we've had huge gains. We've gone from 21-something to...
the 22, then almost 24, and now almost 25. Yeah, 24.8.
24.8 miles per gallon.
Yes.
This is very gratifying. Again, you think this is... gratuitous. No, this is at the end where it matters. That 21 to 25 is millions of gallons of gasoline.
It is.
And it's part of, we're on the cusp of conceivably becoming energy self-sufficient in the United States.
I know when we were worried about that not happening, yeah.
And we're discovering more oil, and there's some political issues getting it out. But
Yes.
we're finding a lot of technology. I've always said we're not going to run out of oil, but as we go into the future, while the oil is essentially unlimited, so is the price.
That's exactly. Yes. How much you want to pay?
How much you want to pay? I can get you oil at $10 so that I can't get you at $5.
That's right.
And at 20 that I can't get you at 10. And it's not conceivable we'll be paying $100 a gallon at some point.
Right.
And so we'll get oil somehow.
That's right.
And that also modulates the demand. And,
Absolutely.
The problem is we can have economic disruptions along the way after the fashion of 2008. And increasingly, our food is becoming largely a function of transportation costs.
Yeah, I was reading something the other day that the average food you consume actually travels 2,000 miles. It's that's a lot of fuel to get the food. Yeah, a lot of fuel.
The more individual travel, you and me, just simply, and I'm not a give up stuff kind of guy. Mm-hmm. We're not going to suffer for anybody.
No.
I'm not going to suffer for the planet. I'm not asking you to. Keep your Ford F-150. I would advise you to put fuel stabilizer in it. Don't ask me how I know. And go build you an electric car with the sole express idea of just knocking down a few miles here in town of ratting around.
Right. Yeah, just what you can do.
And keep your Ford F-150 or 250 for hauling and boat yanking and driving to California and all that. You don't have to give up anything. If you'll go buy, and pick a car you like, a Speedster or a Carmen Ghia or a Rambler or,
there's all kinds of stuff, yeah.
Jack
Jaguar.
67 Camaro, Mustang.
Yep.
Make you a nice little car. It's electric. It's fun to build and fun for you to drive. What you'll find, I already know the answer to this, is that about 99% of your driving is ratting around town.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You're just going places, doing stuff,
and you're going to find
a
Ford F-250 parked over there, and if you followed Uncle Jack's advice, put fuel stabilizer in it, it'll start the next
It'll
time
start
you
right
get in
up.
it. Otherwise, you get to drain the tank and go through
Pretty grimy.
Don't ask me how I know these things.
That's right. It gets pretty ugly, guys.
Right. So, and so that's if enough people did that, this thing just rolls completely over.
And we're getting there.
We are.
It's a lot different than it was when we started. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks to you out there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Imagine if we'd done it and nobody else would.
We'd be having a lot of fun.
Well, we would be. Be feeling pretty smug.
That's right.
What a bunch of dummies.
That's right. Thank God you guys are so smart. That's about it for the news.
No news is good news. What did I hear this week? Yeah, that covers most of it. Of course, VW is still wanting to be the leader in electric cars.
Yeah. Yep.
By issuing the most press releases.
The most press releases of any car manufacturer about electric vehicles.
The Ford C Hybrid Max.
Yes,
People that have that really like that car.
Really? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't talked to anybody that has one.
No,
yeah,
it's
pretty cool.
Yeah. Our buddy Valery Miftakhov.
Yes.
EV Motorworks.
Yes.
This guy's got some great ideas. He never quite finishes anything. And everything he sends me, I blow it up. I send it back to him. Takes a month to get it replaced. He's got a bunch of stories, yada, yada, yada. Somehow it's all my fault. Here, plug in a varistor between the... Come on. But he's got some great ideas. He demonstrated charging a Leaf with his charger, Chademo. He's got it.
Oh, really?
Arduino board in it, talking Chademo over CAN bus.
That's pretty good.
And
yeah,
so that was kind of cool.
That is cool.
So kudos there.
Yes.
And Anna, I guess, has hit the big time. Doesn't need to do video anymore. I think he sent me 2 minutes of him and
Robert Llewellyn, yes.
Charged car.
Yes.
Showing each other their teeth. Anna, let's bring it in.
Here you go.
Well, hey everyone. New Electric is on our UK trip, and we are here with Robert Llewellyn of Fully Charged and 80s camp sci-fi series fame.
I want to live forever.
But of course, we on EVTV know Robert Llewellyn for his passion as an electric vehicle advocate. How's that going for you, Robert?
It's good. Sorry, yes. I'm just so thrilled. I'm just the fact that I'm holding this huge quintuple A battery is just extraordinary. So it's been great meeting you. I've learned a lot today. It's been fantastic. It's very exciting. And your projects are amazing, and I can't wait to see stuff, and I can't wait to come to Holland and see what you're doing. And
well, that's going to be so great. I mean, we're definitely going to have you over. We're going to be making our channel crossing.
Yes.
Seeing what we can do, maybe. That's going to be good stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And now you yourself, I mean, you've been reviewing a lot of, proper-made factory cars. Have you had some experience with let's call it the do-it-yourself scene?
Oh, yes, certainly. I mean, I've had a go in a few, made at home, made in garage type electric cars, but not clearly you have more experience of that, and not as many as you. And it's certainly an area I'm interested in,
sure.
Particularly at the sort of extreme end of like dragsters and racing cars, and
exactly,
when you see how fast they can go. There's an extraordinary vehicle in the UK called the Black Currant, which is a Volkswagen dragster. I think it blew up.
Did very well though.
But it did very well, and to see that actually going along is extraordinary. I mean,
now the Mazda Miata, the MX-5 in America is doing the sub-9s. It's definitely it's an exciting world out there.
Yeah,
a lot of cool little toys and a lot of cool people hanging out with these toys.
Well, we've had a lovely time today here outside Stroud, and there's even a wind turbine just over the hill, which is very nice. So all this electricity is completely renewable.
Well, you heard it here first on EVTV, and we hope to get fully charged at some point.
Very good. It's great to meet you.
Thank
you
so
so much for coming.
Well, that was short and sweet. They're smiling, and
I love that. Robert loved it, and Anna loved it.
Guys.
I love it.
I'd say, hey, you gotta love it.
That's pretty substantial there.
Yes, that's right. Didn't take much film.
Right.
Kept the cost down.
Don't waste any editing on my behalf, Anna. That's okay.
A few more pixels coming, please.
But no, interesting thing, and Anna's talking about a crossing.
Yes.
Of the channel and the boat. I'd like to see him get Llewellyn on in an electric boat.
Oh, absolutely.
I think he would get an eyeful there.
I think so.
And so that would be pretty cool. Jehu Garcia. I love this little guy.
Cool. What has he done now?
He's a very entertaining man. You got to see this. Take a look.
All right, let's go.
This week's episode of the Electric Samba Bus Project, we're going to test if you can charge a battery by regenerative braking, by towing this vehicle down the road. So we all know that AC systems are designed to regenerate energy back into your EV's battery pack. But can they safely put enough energy back to call it a charge? There are many reasons why one would want to know the answer to this question. Me, at present, I want to know because I currently don't have a charger, as I accidentally damaged it last week and it's currently being repaired. But for most people, the reason will be that there might come a time when you find yourself in an emergency situation where you have an empty battery and no time to charge it, but you do have access to a towing vehicle. Okay, I know it. The odds of you finding yourself in such a predicament is pretty ludicrous. You probably have better odds of winning the lottery twice underwater. But if you somehow were to beat the odds and find yourself in need of a quick tow charge, then today's episode is for you.
So what we're doing is I have put a cable in here for my instrumentation, and that is going all the way to inside the cab of our tow truck. And that's going to allow me to keep an eye on the parameters of the motor, my motor temperature, my controller temperature, how much energy is going into the pack and at what rate. So what's the state of my battery pack and the whole thing, and my RPMs, everything. I'm going to pretty much be keeping an eye on this guy because, well, we want to make sure that we do it in a safe way. And that's today's test for this guy. All right, we're going down the road here, and we're towing our bus. We've been, I don't know, we've probably gone 2-3 miles already. We're doing, 50 miles? We're doing about 50 miles. The motor's doing about 2,800 RPMs. It's putting about 170 amps into the battery, which is crazy. Fast charging. That's about as much as it uses going down the road. Of course, I have my instrumentation cluster here, and it's telling me pretty much everything. Here's the voltage, 123 volts. I have to keep an eye on that. If it gets above 129, I have to stop the charge process. Here's the amp hours that are going into the battery. Here are the amp hour counter. So I started with 80 amps, which was a little bit less than half of my battery on my pack life. And I am right now at 96. So this is getting charged pretty quick. Maybe 20 minutes and we're gonna be pretty much done. 97. With this guy, I'm gonna keep an eye on the motor. 120 amps, 123 volts. The motor temperature is at 68 degrees Celsius, which is a little bit hot. I don't know why. I don't know my cooling system. It's actually flowing. But I gotta keep an eye on that. If it reaches 80 degrees, then we gotta stop the charging. Oh wait a minute, that was the motor. The controller is at 55C. No, yeah, my cooling system is definitely working if it's at 55. At 2,600 RPMs, I think that's why the motor temperature is 70. The motor can run all the way to 120 degrees Celsius, which is about 300 degrees Fahrenheit. Isn't that crazy? But it's just a bunch of cable wrapped around a big giant piece of metal, so there's nothing to break there. So the motor temperature just went up to 71. I don't know, I'm gonna have to decide where I wanna cut it, but we could get somewhere around 100. Here we go. We 102 amp hours into the battery pack already.
35 miles, 5.4 miles.
Yeah, this is gonna be maybe 20 miles and we're gonna be done charging. If something else doesn't, the temperature doesn't go too high, if the voltage doesn't go too high. No, it seems to be working.
So eventually, our trip was cut short as our support vehicle, another VW bus, experienced running issues. Our trip was to both test my tow charging technique and to test the egg bus's recently rebuilt mechanicals. We managed to put a 30-mile charge, and my battery pack, which started with an 80 amp hour state of charge, ended with 160. So that works out to a 2.6 amp hour charge per mile, or a distance of 70 miles to fully charge my 22 kilowatt pack. So whether you ever need to do this or not, our little test here shows that it is possible if you have the right conditions. Like with all things, your mileage may vary, your system might be different, and even if you did happen to run the same HPVS AC50 system, your controller's parameters might be set different, having a drastic effect on the system's ability to perform this task. At the end of the day, one thing is very clear. Using a proper charger and allowing enough time to charge your pack is best. But if you find yourself in a pinch, well,
Hey guys, check it out. So we're here at jag35.com and look at this. This is a Chevy Volt, just like the one that I bought for my wife. But guess what? This is not the one I bought for my wife. This is Nathan. He's currently in charge of fulfilling orders for Jag35. He went out and also purchased a Chevy Volt after I told him how much you could save from his original car. He was driving around a car that was pretty similar to what we were driving, and after seeing that we were going to save about $5,200 a year by switching over to Chevy Volt, then he said, well, that's good enough opportunity for me to test out an electric car. And so it seems I'm you know, once you start preaching the good word of the good EV word, people start changing, and they, you know, they start driving. So it seems I might have to put some charging stations here at Jag35. Now I have to charge. Now he has to charge. We're going to be fighting from the same, you know, from the same plug and stuff. So we might have to get some level 2 charging stations and put them in the thing. It's a good way to meet other EV enthusiasts and drivers. If we put them up in the plug share network and stuff, and I don't know, we'll think about it. I'm gonna have to seriously consider it now that we have several cars that are gonna need charging here at jag35.com. All right, see you guys next week.
That's got to be illegal in California to drag a car.
So Jehu's version of perpetual motion and winning the copper foil helmet is to take a chain and drag his vehicle down the road
I'm
backwards.
surprised he didn't get arrested for that one. That's got to
And
be.
that'll charge his battery.
That's right.
Maybe you should get with Oakmar that has the stretch. And they can put a front end on both ends. Why don't you drive it down the road half the way there and then turn it around and back it the rest of the way? That way you could recharge the batteries, and by the time you get there, you'd have as much energy as when you left.
Yeah, you should have a zero at that point, no deficit. It should be
That's right.
zero.
Have a car that will tow itself.
That's right, neutral. That's right.
2 drivetrains.
It's electric neutral.
And thank you for the report. I've
Absolutely.
always wondered about that, Jehu.
That's right. Somebody had to do it. Inquiring minds want to know.
That's right. Well, like he says, if you ever find yourself in a position, I suppose if you were out of charge and I had charge, I could tow you and transfer charge from me to
To you. Yeah, that would be.
so you could get home.
Yeah, you would be a charge buddy.
A charge buddy.
Yes.
What's his brother's name?
Gabriel.
Gabriel. Gabe. Hang in there, buddy.
That's right. It'll only get better, man. We love you.
Yeah. Without you, it doesn't work.
No.
So, we're kind of like this week. Let's fill in. Let me show them a couple, just a little projects I've been
Okay.
flailing around with. You know, we're waiting for different things to come in, get completed. I did get the wiring harnesses on the JevQ this week.
Oh, good. Okay.
They weren't individually colored wires.
Oh,
They just had random colors. It's a pretty big screw.
So we'll need some more wires.
Yeah. Orders.
All right, we'll get some more wires.
I can ship some of these with the, they'll just have to do the best they can.
Okay.
They do have tags anyway.
Well, and the first guys, they'll be kind of beta.
Yeah, they'll be beta.
They'll be beta. Yeah.
Right. And so, so we're waiting for things. So I get to playing with things. One of them that I know everyone's aware of, even I am not sure why, but I have some fascination with monster batteries from hell that can't be. I guess I'm seeking immortality. I want a battery that they'll find archaeologically 1,000 years from now, still a little bit of charge.
That's right.
Let's take a look at what I've been playing with.
Okay.
I've been playing with kind of big batteries. I have shown you all in the past little peeks of it, but this is my Tweco connectors for a 48 volt, 65 amp hour module that will fit right under the seat of a precedent golf cart and drive it about 60 miles. It's 105 pounds, and it replaces about 415 pounds of lead. The lead's very inexpensive. I don't know if there's a market for this at all or not. These are kind of labor intensive to build. We hand select the cells for capacity, test each of them, and then we bottom balance them very carefully. And then we seal them up in foam and urethane plastic. They can't even vent. The nice thing about that is golfers can't get to the individual terminals to do anything to them. We put handles in the top so you can lower this down into the golf cart. And one of the things that's been a little bit of an adventure is we have a little box cut out with a switch and a meter that tells me right now it's at 52.5 volts. I think these will offer some huge advantages to golfers and people with deluxe golf carts, in that the way I have this with our bottom balancing, you can't over discharge the battery. It'll just quit putting out current before it ever destroys itself. You shouldn't overcharge it. And I guess there's not a great defense against that, except that the voltage on this is quite high, over 60 volts charging, and so it's a little hard to do. The lead acid cells, if you park a golf cart and don't have it on float charge or something, the cells all, over just a few weeks, will self-discharge to nothing. With this, you can leave it parked and connected for 2 years. It'll be the same voltage when you come back that you left it at, if you don't have any parasitic loads on the whole box, if you don't turn it on. And so I think this will offer some huge advantage. We're going to price them rather highly, put them in the store. Don't be alarmed. I think golfers will like the idea. No BMS, a lithium battery, 105 pounds. That'll take that cart easily 60 miles. And it's capable of 600-700 amps output, which they don't even have the wiring to stand. This, I've been talking to some guys in the RV business. Now, I have to confess I don't quite get RVs. What little bit I know about them is normally you buy one for about $150,000, park it next to your house, and hold it there until it's worth about $12,000, and then sell it. And take 3 trips in the 10 years you own it, and that's pretty expensive. But there are people who buy them and actually use them, And my view of them is they go from one KOA campground to the next and plug in and live in the trailer park there with the other RV people. And there's often a swimming pool, electrical hookups, sewage. You can buy potato chips and ice inside, and it's just like living at the trailer park. And you can go from state to state visiting different ones. But actually, there is a group of people who use RVs rather seriously, and they don't go to KOA campgrounds, and they don't stay parked next to their house. They're called boondockers. They're pretty serious about it. They go out in the desert or other wilderness areas and park for days or weeks. Some of them are quite phenomenal. Some of the desert areas, you would think this would be for solitude, but again, there'll be 60 or 70 of these RVs make a little town out in the middle of the desert. There's no water, there's no electricity, nothing. They're nowhere. They're just at Moab or at someplace out in the desert or the wilderness, and they need power. They do often have generators, but they have a limited amount of fuel, and the fuel is generator is noisy, and it makes fumes, and of course then it breaks out into kind of a battle between the environmentally conscious guy in the RV trying to sleep and his neighbor who's running a generator at 11 o'clock at night. That's quite loud. And so nirvana for them is a solar-powered system. We actually have most of the pieces of that right here, but they need a big battery. And so I have built one in a row, and I may build the second one. Again, I've got a little meter and a little switch. You have to hold the switch down to read the voltage. Right now, 13.5 volts, because I don't want that reading all the time and draining the battery, although it would take some time. This is got four 400 amp hour cells in it, and so it's a 400 amp hour 12 volt battery. I actually tested to 400, and this again was some Thunder Skies that were several years old. There's nothing wrong with them. They we measured 455 amp hours out of 400 amp hour cells, and so we very carefully bottom balanced them, which is quite a bit of work with a 400 amp cell. Put them again in an aluminum box, some nice handles. This is going to be 150 pounds for a battery, but normally you would install this in the RV, and remember, we're replacing 6 or 8 large lead AGM cells normally with this one box of a quarter of the weight. And the other thing, of course, the lead batteries, to make them last long, one guy who actually installs solar systems on RVs told me that they like them to limit it to 30% depth of discharge. They won't even let them do half of it in order to make the batteries last 6 or 7 years. The other thing with lead acid batteries is you have to fully charge them, or they crystallize and have sulfate crystals on them, and it ruins the batteries prematurely. This battery never wants to be fully charged, and our biggest issue will be convincing people that it never has to be fully charged at all. And indeed, I think I've got it set up where they could bleed this one white to 0 volts, put it on a charger, and it would be fine. And so we put some terminals on here that I thought were kind of cool. They're a Bakelite with a nice big hex bolt and a big pad terminal that you would put a normal terminal lug on, but then it has a little weather cap that goes over it. And so that'll, you can't really bump it if you wreck the RV. It's not going to mash against some metal or something. Again, it's cast in foam and a very high density urethane plastic. you could not reach a cell with a pretty heavy rifle. In this case, it's some .90 aluminum and then about 1.5 inches of kind of dense urethane foam, and then capped with some actually pretty heavy urethane plastic that we actually pour this. And then we've got our little music box here with the button and the meter, and all this can be replaced. In fact, I don't have this actually screwed down yet, but that's our thing. We did have a question. Let me bring this over. The other thing we have going that I think these RV guys are going to go crazy for, and I haven't seen these. I've seen some somewhat like them on eBay, but that's our flexible solar panel. They have some little ones of these on eBay. This is a 180 watt panel. And I had somebody ask if this was, I don't know if you can see this, but you can bend it. It's quite flexible. It's about a 3mm laminate. These are made in China, laminated there, which is kind of interesting because they use a cell from Sun Solar here in the U.S., which is the highest efficiency cell that you can buy commercially, about 22%. And so this whole panel weighs about 6 kilograms, actually about 6 pounds. It's 3mm thick, it's flexible, and it puts out about 180 watts. There are 60 cells on there. I had some solar genius explain to me how that was a higher voltage and so forth. I checked it in the sun today. It's exactly what I ordered and exactly as advertised. The open circuit voltage is 20.2 volts, and I measured 19.75 in cool winter morning sun this morning. And the maximum power point is 16.8 volts at about 11 amps. We've also got a new device that's just came in, again from China. And again, kind of the mission is to get things that match each other. This is a little and fairly inexpensive, well, I'm in the store, MPPT solar controller, my company called iPanda. It does 30 amps at 12 volts, which is 360 watts perhaps. It'll actually go up to about 1700 watts. It automatically selects between 12, 24, and 48. But I think it'll be ideal for this because the input voltage is quite wide on this. It needs about 18 volts to charge a 12-volt battery. And as I said, our maximum power level on one cell is 16 volts. So I would see 2 or 3 of our panels in series on the roof of a, now you can go up to 7 or 8 because this will do up to 150 volts input. And then it down converts that, of course, to your voltage and provides current to the battery. A fairly meager amount, 30 amps. I think that's a good match for 3 of those panels. 2 of them would be 360 watts, but it's fairly rare to get full output out of them. And so I would use 3 of them and this little charge controller. This is kind of cool in that you can connect it to the battery and to the load, and it kind of intelligently routes in that fashion. It's got a RS-232N LAN on the bottom. Some software comes with it. The usual Chinese software adventure in setting your voltage for the battery and how that all works. But you can route power to the battery. If the battery gets full, it'll route it to the load. And of course, the battery will route to the load. So this doesn't quit when the battery gets charged, basically. As long as you're using some electricity, you'll still get the benefit of your solar. And so this is about 5,000 watts. We're going to also carry a Magnesign 2,000 watt 12 volt inverter charger that would let you charge this much faster if you do have AC to plug into. But at like 120 amps, it'll charge this in 3 or 4 hours. But it'll make up to 3,300 watts of AC, 120 volts, but it's rated for 2,000 continuously. And that would be about 2.5 hours at full power at 2,000 watts out of this battery. In actual use on the in RVs, they're running little electric lights, computers. They might run a microwave for a few minutes or a blow dryer for a few minutes, but their actual usage is probably going to average more like 200 watts an hour. And so this would be about 25 hours of power. And at that point, you're going to bring in the solar and add back in 300 watts for 5 or 6 hours out of the day to build back up 1,800 or so. And so they could stay for a number of days, and certainly if they conserve electric, we can always make them another 12 volt to put in parallel with this one. But I think this is a good size for installation. It's about all 2 guys can handle, 150 pounds, but you're basically installing it in an RV. It's not going to move around. And so I've been playing around with battery modules like this. I think we can get some value add on the batteries. It's quite a design and build process to make one of these. It takes me a week. But I think it's a monster battery. If they ever got these out in the RV world, they'd give up lead at any price for the same reasons we do. It's just a lot better living with lithium than although inexpensive, these painfully maintenance intensive and frail lead batteries. So that's another thing I've been kind of shopping and matching components for a little off-grid, little mini off-grid systems that you can use on a boat or an RV to have regular AC power. Stay with us.
Making electric boats isn't just making boats cleaner, it's making boats better. Being out in an electric boat means you can enjoy the environment you're in. You are so much more immersed in the sound and the experience of the aquatic life, of the water, of the wind, than you would otherwise be. And it really gives you a new level of understanding and enjoyment of that generally beautiful nature area you've gone into to enjoy yourself. What an electric motor does is that it gives you all this power in a vibrationless, soundless way. A well-thought-out, well-designed system has 100% of the torque available all the time. You don't have to build up to it, you have it. So when you pump the throttle, you are out there and your whole shot is amazing. It takes your center of gravity right out from under you, and it gives people that what they call the EV grin. You just start laughing, you can't help it. You're so conditioned to think that you first need vibration, then need noise, and then you start going somewhere. And in this case, your center of gravity just shoots right out from under you. And it's a wonderful feeling. You can still talk to each other. You're hearing the sound of the water and the wind and the waves instead of just hearing engine noise and vibrations. And it gives you really a chance to be in tune with that nature that you're actually out there to enjoy. Plus, not having to visit the pump is actually a great thing. Your battery will eat electricity from any source that you provide. I mean, who loves sitting around on your knees with a jerry can? We have better control over the boat. We have a better experience while we're out driving. Plus, we also have the knowledge that we're part of new technology. It is just way cool. Our mission is to make beautiful, fast, and fun electric boats. There's nothing more fun than taking these new technological developments and putting them into classic designs and having people shoot away with a big smile and an EV grin.
Well, that's about as big as a Winnebago.
Yeah.
That's the Winnebago battery. I love that.
RVs, boats.
Yeah.
I mean, you could troll for a long time on that puppy.
Oh, you could. Absolutely.
Yeah,
And you just have your little motor getting you trolling out there. Yeah.
And
it's pretty good.
Battery packs for the heroically strong to be able to pack around.
That's right.
105 and 150 pounds.
Yes, that's right.
Black truck bed liner all over them. Massive terminals.
Handles.
These are guy batteries.
These are big old batteries.
This is not batteries for your wife, guys. These are
you're gonna have to handle
guy
these.
batteries.
Yeah, that's right. You're gonna have to handle these.
And I don't know. I got a sense that I need to make a brawny battery.
Okay.
No BMS, none of that stuff, and just hand it to people and tell them, break this for me.
Yeah, that's right.
Show
Do
me
what
how
you
big a
want.
boy you are.
That's
Anyway.
right.
How big a boy are you?
Do what you can to mangle it.
Let's see if you can mangle this here battery. And see what happens.
Yeah, I think we'll probably see a few out at Burning Man this year. You know,
Yeah.
when everybody goes off grid.
Burning Man. The catalog. Good job, Brain. Heavily clayed paper. They do like it. Okay.
You know, this
Quality cells.
You know, this one has been through the mail. Actually, you know, we mail things to ourselves to make sure they actually got
That
mailed.
one's been through the mail?
This one has. I mean, it
looks gorgeous.
Yeah, it looks.
It's wearing
just
well.
Yep, it's wearing well.
Not bagged or anything.
no,
They
just
came to me
just
that.
like this. Yep.
I'm hearing nothing but kudos, and we're selling actually a surprising number of them.
Yes.
On the website.
Yeah.
One guy was tiffed at me because it was $9.95 instead of $4.95. There's a reason. As I said, you can look at it as free shipping or as free catalog, and you're paying shipping. We mail them pretty widely to people here in the United States. Not so much overseas.
No.
Australia and Europe, we didn't mail it.
No.
And there's a reason. You're expensive to mail to.
Yes, exactly. And they'd still be on the boat.
It's $3.75 or something, I think, across the street here.
Yes. Yeah.
And to Europe and Australia and that, it's kind of a lot. So we settled on $9.95 as kind of an average, and that'll cover the postage.
Yeah.
But we're getting a lot of requests from Europe and Australia.
Yes.
And because we didn't send them one, and there was a reason.
Exactly.
It's all kind of a circular argument here. But this is our pilot catalog. This is our first one.
Yeah.
And so I put the squeeze on, turn the heat up. Christopher Fisher has been working, as it turns out, quite valiantly and done some yeoman's work.
Yes.
On our registry. What happened was he didn't do the top layer. He sort of left it ipsum malorum.
Greeked up. Yeah.
And so I was kind of teed off that he hadn't made more progress. Actually, he had. The engine underneath was pretty firmly fleshed out.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And so I dropped the bomb on him this last week's video.
Yeah, actually
when
last
I put
Friday.
it up, I wiped the old EVTV main page and just went to the blog, the WordPress blog, as our main page, because it basically duplicated it anyway, plus it had the blog stuff.
Right.
And had the video flipper over there now, and so on and so forth. Chris and I got in a big fight over domain name issues and A records and MX records and C names, and anyway, he won.
There you go.
I'm not sure what you have to do to get the EVTV now.
Yeah, that's right.
Had it working so many times. He's fixed it, and then it doesn't work. But he thinks he's had it working so many times, and I've fixed it.
That's right. Take two of you.
So, but anyway, in doing that, I added a menu item for the EV database. And
Yes.
we're calling this Registry of Custom Electric Vehicles. And in theory, we're not allowing lawnmowers and bicycles and motorcycles and stuff. I've already made a couple of exceptions.
They looked pretty
One
good.
guy has this thing called a Rokon. It's like a two-wheel tractor.
Yeah, that's a Bill.
motorcycle.
That's
It's
Bill
just-
Bear.
It was just too interesting. I had to include
Yep.
it.
Yep.
But so I announced this on the blog, put it up on the website without mention, and we've got 43 registered
That's in a week.
vehicles now.
Yeah.
That's since Monday.
Yeah.
And so I'm very encouraged. And of course, beautiful vehicles. Eric Chris's Sonnet is just gorgeous.
Yeah, it really is.
And so you can enter your vehicle, and you can also vote for up to 3 vehicles.
Yes.
And in fact, anyone can get on, and you do have to register. We want your name and address and so forth. In case I want to
Yeah, in case I want
catalog.
to send you a catalog, God forbid.
But so you can't duplicate vote. But Brandon Hollinger's good at rabbling the rousing the rabble to vote for him.
That's right.
And so they'll be rated by the number of votes, and each person can vote for up to 3, and you can change your vote at any time and pull a vote and put it on another car, and so on and so
Yes.
forth. And we're hoping the world helps us sort these beautiful, beautiful custom electric builds into some semblance of order, to where then we can basically take our catalog, and we're always changing the things that we have available in the online web store. One of the reasons this has been so successful is a lot of people that know what's on our website didn't know what all was on our website
Right. Right.
because they haven't been there for a week or two. We put
Yeah.
2 or 3 things up every week. Lose a couple, just like the Garrett turbocharger blower for the
Right.
neck gain.
For the cooling kit, yeah.
Doesn't make them anymore. I can't get
No,
them.
no, we really can't get
So
them.
it goes away. I've had 3 requests for that in the last 2 weeks. So anything I can't get, then they want. Why don't you buy the stuff while I've got it?
That's right. Yeah. Shop hard and often.
Shop hard and often. And of course, we had a little article in here. This is a little document that's been translated into 4 languages and has been around for a year on our cell care, how to take care of your batteries, and kind of explaining the care and feeding of CA cells and how we do the bottom balancing and so forth. And but again, it was apparently news to some.
Yeah, I mean, I guess people that hadn't bought the batteries hadn't seen the document. So now that you've seen the document, buy some batteries.
Well, it all goes together. But again, my theory is the web is fantastic for a lot of things in a lot of ways. But it's kind of like looking through the world through a keyhole. And this you can take to the throne room with you.
That's right. You can see this.
For the morning session in the gentleman's library. And you can flip through and you can show it to other people. And
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Now imagine if we had the top 100 builds and then we publish those in here, maybe, it depends on what we can do with page design. It's not about your car. It's 8.5 by 11 page. How do we do that? But I would like probably facing pages for each vehicle, which is egregiously expensive, but particularly in the paper you selected. But it becomes a directory of what's possible.
Yes, that's right. What you can do.
2Vs and sonnets, and everybody's like, oh, you're just going to do an old pickup truck or something. I don't know how to define it. There's a lot of beloved cars, Mini Coopers and Citroens and Ramblers and Carmen Gias and Camaros and everybody's got a different story of why that was a big part of them growing up, or some are just whimsical, the VW things and the Dokas and so forth, which I understand we're going to pick up on.
Actually, yes, we found somebody to pick it up.
And so it's difficult for me to describe what you all are, putting one or two of you up here a week, when we can put it in your hand where here's 100 and you can flip through it. Then I think people will say, I get what they're doing now. Who'd have thunk it?
That's right.
This is just like hot rod.
Just like a street rod or hot rod, yeah.
Yeah, well, it is. It
is. Different powertrain, but that's about the difference.
It's sort of the thing. I'll wax on about this, but I almost forgot. Let me show them my Siemens motor project.
All right.
We're doing some fill-in stuff, showing you some of the little projects I've got going on around here. This is our Siemens motor, which we have a great number of. I bought out the last 100 from Siemens. We already had 50 or 60 of them. I'm swimming in these motors. Eventually, we'll use them. We tend to do VWs, and Sebastian Bourgeois and Rebirth Auto do some great adapters, and I had him do me 10 adapters for the VW. But a lot of you have cars that are not VWs, and you're going to have to do an adapter for this motor, which is not terribly difficult, other than the fact that it has this kind of a nice fat shaft, but then it immediately goes down to about 1 inch and essentially a 26 millimeter 24 spline that's only, I'd say, a little over a ½ inch long on the spline. Very strange. That's what they used with Azure Dynamics with the E-Gear drive. We've sold quite a few of the E-Gear drives. The E-Gear drive comes with a coupler, a little more than 1 inch in diameter, that just has those splines all the way through. And you simply fit it, and it's a pretty tight fit over that. And then, of course, the E-Gear drive transmission input is the same spline and about the same length. And so this motor bolts right to the E-Gear drive. This is inside, and that's how it mates up. Very simple device. This is what Seb and the Rebirth guys came up with. It has the spline in one end and the hub for a VW flywheel on the other. And then they have a billet aluminum plate that bolts to here and then presents the 4 holes in the right position for the VW. This goes over our spline, and it's actually held in place with a slip ring, and it has a couple of thrust bearings. The thrust bearings are kind of overkill, but this is sort of the key part of that adapter as well. If you'll recall, we talked about the high-performance electric vehicle systems, AC series of motors, and of course many of you are quite familiar with NetGain's series of the Warfield forklift motors, DC motors. Both of those use what's called a B face, and that's become the common face of motors used in electric vehicles, or electric vehicles done by DIY guys, because those motors have been popular going back to the ADC motor and the Prestolite. All of them using the B face. The B face has this 6-inch boss here, holes, 4 or 8 of them on a 8-inch, 8.5-inch center, and that's the common thing. So if you're going to use the Siemens motor, and adapt it to transmissions, there's two feasible things we can do. One is do as short a B-face adapter as we can come up with, and then you have access to, like Randy Holmquist up at Canadian EV has probably 40 or 50 different transmission design adapter plates already done. And similarly, Brian Hall out at Thunderstruck has quite a few. And then Rebirth has several that are already done. So if you could get this to a B-face, then you have access to their adapters. The downside is that you're getting longer with each adapter. After the first 8 or 10, you're going to be outgrow the car. And of course, each adapter costs money. We're working on the B-face adapter, and this is the coupler that goes on there. And it's got, this is cut out. Now, I got to tell you, I maybe know a little bit more about this than I quite understand, or maybe I don't know anything. They call it EDM, and it's a way to remove material in the negative without having to drive a broach through here. What that lets us do is put that spline recessed instead of all the way through like these, which is somewhat similar. And we've had machined in the shoulder of the larger shaft as well, where when you piece this on here, it slides down. The bottom of the shaft just doesn't quite ride on the motor. And so we're on that shoulder. And here you have your standard 1/4 key and a 1 1/8 inch shaft, just like the net gain in the AC 75. We'll do as narrow as we can, but it'll be about 2 inches thick billet aluminum with the 6-inch boss and the 8 holes, and so it'll be just like a B-face for this. I don't really expect a lot of you to buy that from us, and the reason is it'll be expensive, and then you're buying 2 adapters. But we'll have the drawings done for this piece and for this piece. Now, it's not much of a leap to take this and replace the 1 1/8 inch keyed shaft with whatever you need or want, including a VW hub for the flywheel, or a BMW hub for the flywheel, or whatever you need. And similarly, the billet aluminum, the drawing will already have the mate to the Siemens motor. You do the other half, and you'll have an adapter plate. You'll still have to work out the length, but hopefully, and I don't know a lot about CAD/CAM, but my sense is if we can get it in some sort of SolidWorks file or something that you can work from, that you'll be able to do it. Right today, I'm playing with Lash. Seb's VW adapter has a lot of lash. That's the forward and backwards to engage. The this has very little. That's for the E-gear drive. We're kind of somewhere in between. Got a little bit more than the E-gear drive, a little bit less than the VW. And this is a test piece they made that's 1/millionth or 1,000th or something bigger or smaller than this one. And then I like the feel a little better. But you have to be pretty well lined up to get it on there. And so that's what we're playing with today. So that's the concept, is to get some CAD drawings done where you can make adapters. And we will offer a B-face adapter for the Siemens that will convert it to essentially work like bolt up to and work like a net gain or a high-performance electric vehicle systems standard B-face motor. Stay with us. Shaft.
I know. We just have. What's that name?
He's a bad mother.
Watch your mouth.
Watch your mouth. Shaft. Siemens shaft.
That's pretty cool.
It's just the sort of thing I do all day.
That's right.
Fool around with. Actually, I don't really understand any of it. Jeff's been fooling around with it.
He has, and it's come along. Then I think that might be a big deal for that motor to have a B-face adapted to it.
I just want to make it easier for people to adapt it to transmissions.
Absolutely.
Since it's not a B-face, I actually like the face better. It's a bigger boss. It's inverted. Now the shaft is too short.
Yeah,
and it's
that's a
got
short shaft.
I like spline shafts. I think we probably ought to go to them, but that was only like a ½ inch long or something. Yeah. But there is a bigger shaft that it's part of, and so we're going to like mount over that. I guess I failed to mention there's a threaded hole in the center of the shaft, and we've recessed the shaft to take a bolt.
Oh, okay, yeah. I did see that in a drawing. Okay.
That's what will hold it on. Seb was using a slip ring and truss washers.
To hold it on, yes.
And but we're going to actually put a bolt down into the shaft, and in order lock washer, if I can get it in there.
Okay, and bolt it in.
And bolt it on. It doesn't really take much holding on, but you don't want it to work.
You don't want it to creep out, yeah.
And so that's that. So yeah, I think our book, hopefully by spring, we'll do another one, update the back, and put 100 cars in it. And I think this book will be much sought. But I'm very gratified by your reaction.
Yeah, thank you.
Even to our first pilot effort. Ron and I used to be print publishers from way back.
Oh, over and over again, yeah, in the Wayback Machine.
I didn't think the ad sale would be there for a magazine in 2009, and I was right. And the reason I saw Time magazine this week, I almost burst into tears.
Oh, you should see some of the magazines. They're just pathetic. It's so sad.
It still had excellent editorial.
Great editorial, but man,
it always has.
Yep.
62 pages of onion skin.
I know the paper is so thin.
You can see through the whole magazine.
Yeah. Yeah,
he wouldn't even 62 pages.
He wouldn't put a phone book on that paper.
If you swatted a fly with that magazine, you wouldn't hurt the fly.
That's right. It's just going to bend around him.
It would just bend around him. It's pathetic what's happened to print.
Oh, yeah.
Why? It's not that the advertising is more effective online, and I even think that there'll be a resurgence of print off in the distant future. But there's two things we can't do in print. Number one, if you give us the art, it's a month or 2 months before you're in.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
Well, things move fast.
Things are faster now, yeah.
What I want to advertise is completely different 2 months from now. Yeah. And number two is measurement. You can measure much easier online than you can in print.
Yeah, if you're not selling products direct, you can't tell.
And it's so that's engaged the whole advertising industry. They are so romanced with it and obsessing on all the cool stuff they can do.
Yeah, exactly.
Based on results,
right? All the metrics and
the
things.
Closed loop there. That an ad sale in a print magazine is almost impossible.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense. If you notice in our catalog, we're the only advertiser.
That's right, we're it.
If you'll buy some of our stuff, this will work for us, and we'll do more of it. And
we can be trained.
We could be trained to put this out 4 times a year.
That's right, we could.
And And we could even reset the votes each time.
Yes,
Get different
exactly.
cars in
Yeah.
there. And so the that's you know, kind of what drives it. I could not do this trying to sell ads in it.
No, because we'd be having to try and make money from that publication directly. No.
But if it inspires our existing guys to come back into the store and make a few more purchases, that would be cool. And at least it's my excuse. By the end of the year, we'll know if that's just money lost or if it's effective. But in the meantime, my hope is to produce a book that you or I or any of you can hand somebody and they'll get it.
All right. They'll see what this
It
market's all
the
about.
conversation
Yeah.
a lot.
Yes.
Here's 100 cars. No, I'm not the only wacko doing this, although I did do it well.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Did nice
There's
cars.
other guys who've done it before and after, and some of them do really nice work. And look at a Eric Chris build or a Dale Friedhoff build. I don't even want to pop my hood at my own convention. I don't want anybody looking in there at that net.
Yeah. We have a little wires going around, but we're testing things.
Yes.
We're testing different voltages, products.
That's my story.
That's right.
They're
We're
all
sticking
test
to
benches.
it. That's right. We're sticking to a rolling test bench.
How many heaters have I had in an Escalade? How many
Yes.
can you? How many angels on the head of a pin? How many heaters go in an Escalade?
And we don't know where that wire goes. No. Haven't known for years.
And so that's, well, there is an ongoing interest in heating batteries, I'm learning. And we may have to revisit that. I've ordered a couple of additional products that I think will be more store-bought and look.
Okay.
To offer a solution to warm your cells. And my daughter, the day it was 4 degrees, got in the pickup truck with Thunder Skies. Now they're not in the truck; they're actually
they're under the truck,
frame.
yeah.
And she has no garage. They're cold soaked overnight.
Yes.
It wouldn't go. She got in, turned the key. It would not move. Later in the day, it warmed up. So I guess it was the next day, and it drove straight away.
So it didn't like the cold.
At some level, they don't go at all.
Yeah, right.
And 4 degrees Fahrenheit would appear to be pretty much there.
Yeah.
And so heating of your batteries is not wasted effort, particularly in northern climes. That's about it for me.
I think we've nailed another one. How the heck do we do that?
Maybe this won't be 3 hours, but oh well.
Sorry.
I'm not.
Okay. We'll see you next week.
All right.
All
Stay
right.
with us. We'll see you then.